Good morning, everyone. I make that 10 o'clock, so I'm going to begin this webinar this morning on dealing with multiple holiday requests. Just check this is all working. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this topic, dealing with multiple holiday requests. It's quite in-depth actually. I've gone into quite a lot of detail on it, so I hope it helps you in some ways. It does sound like a very narrow topic, but I think I've gone into quite a lot of detail on other avenues of holidays and how, as an employer, we can all help. This is our Clover team, and we have over 200 years experience between us, and we're able to provide a whole range of support in all different areas. And we have specialisms in recruitment, training, coaching, wellbeing, rewards, and many other people strategies that we have. So we are happy to help you. And if there's anything after today, please do not hesitate to give one of us a call. This is myself, I'm the HR business partner for Clover. And if there's anything from today's webinar that you want to talk about or go over, or you want to see it again for your business, then please let me know. There is a question and answer session at the end. However, there might be some questions you want to ask me separately. So either put them in the Q&A and I'll have a look at the end of this presentation, or we can go through them at a later date. And I just ask you to keep things muted so there's no background noise, so you can get the best value from this webinar. So what we're going to go through today, we're going to have a look at having a process in place. What do we need to have in place when asking for holidays? The law and potential pitfalls of this and difficulties that people can come across. How to manage this effectively as an employer. Long holiday requests, so this is extended, you usually have a 2-week holiday period, and if there's anything more than that, it's called an extended holiday. So how do you go about this and managing it fairly? So how to manage diversity in the workforce, and when people ask for different things, making sure you're inclusive and diverse and fair and equal to all. And any HR software that can help support you when dealing with holidays. Just got some advice for you on that. And then we'll do a summary at the end to wrap it all up. So having a system in place for dealing with multiple holiday requests is crucial. So employees will know how in advance what the system is and the process is, and are less likely to feel resentful if a request is refused. So an objective system will help to defend against any claims of discrimination as well. So systems should potentially include either a rota, a first come first served basis, a ballot system for booking holidays, or leaving it to the employees to sort out. And again, we'll talk about each of these and the pitfalls it can bring. So the legal position is fairly clear when it comes to booking. An employer can restrict when employees take holidays and can stipulate when employees should take their leave. This isn't always done, or it's done partially within an organisation. So both employees and employers must give notice equal to twice the length of the request. So if the employer refuses a request, they must give as much notice as the amount of the leave requested. So for examples to highlight this, and if an employee wants to take 2 weeks off, they must give 4 weeks notice to take that minimum. And the employer must give 2 weeks notice to refuse this request. Other things to consider really is consistency. We talked about discrimination earlier, and consistency is important to make sure you've got the same rules in place for everyone. Another potential pitfall is if you do refuse, the employee calls in sick anyway, and how do you deal with this? Obviously, you know potentially the reasons why they've had that time off, but potentially they could be sick as well, and bad timing. So you have to look into this and make sure you don't penalise them based on your judgment at first. Dissatisfied employees, the productivity is bound to drop and the workplace malice can set in. So holidays are a good thing, and to turn it into a bad thing within the workplace can really demoralise people and obviously affect productivity, which is the last thing you want as a business. So how do we manage this effectively? You need to set expectations early. So communicate to all your employees what needs to be done and when. And ensure the contracts and policies state the process so everyone is clear. Check your contracts and the processes. Some have a separate holiday policy in place or a holiday crib sheet, so they know exactly what the procedure is. So ensure managers follow all these processes as well, because it has to be consistent across the board and all managers doing the same thing for their staff. Be reasonable and consider alternative solutions. So if it is, can you give 1 week instead of the 2 weeks that they've asked for? And or swap around 2 people if one person is not bothered what holiday they have. Can they swap around with someone else? Look at home working or reduced hours. So if it's a personal issue that they want to take that day off, can they do less hours, or can they work from home to make it easier and less travelling time? So don't always say no if you don't know the reasons why. There could be a lot of reasons personally behind it that they didn't want to tell you in the first place. Employees remember kind gestures. So employees do remember kind gestures, and when you try and make something work for them they did not think was possible, they'll remember that, and they'll always remember that you really tried to help them in that process. And reap the rewards in terms of increased morale and positive work ethic by always trying to do what is best. Can help the workplace culture and the morale and across the team. And obviously you want a positive work ethic throughout. A lot of businesses have a maximum number of holidays allowed. So when we look at booking holidays, usually the norm is 10 days, which is 2 weeks in one period. So how do you cope if if someone wants 3 weeks or longer, which is often a request in today's day and age? So with these requests, I would recommend the following. So have a procedure in place for asking for holidays over 2 weeks. This is called an extended holiday. You'll often have a process for booking holidays, which is up to 2 weeks, but have a separate process in place for extended holidays. These need to be signed off in place for those requesting over 2 weeks, and possibly request in writing given and the reasons for the request. So to have someone out of a business for 3 to 4 weeks could have an effect on your business, and you need to plan for this quite wisely. So make it a clear, fair procedure for all, and be clear and remain consistent with the rules. Ensure the rules apply for all. Some will ask for extended holiday every year, some will never ask. But what are your rules when it comes to this? Because it will always quote back on when someone else had that leave. Explain the reasons if the request is refused. So always explain why you've refused the request and give the business reasons. But you are able to accept the request if it was 3 weeks later in the year. So if there is something you can do with the timeframes that they're asking for, just talk to them about this, and this can help them. Keep records of when people have extended leave. You always ensure you monitor who has what time off and when. This way it saves future issues if someone uses other people's experience as an argument. You've got a record of what was taken, when and why it was taken, which will really help you if a dispute came into the case. So I can't go without mentioning the effects of COVID-19 on unused and carried over holidays. So you may have employees with a lot of unused holiday from 2020 due to COVID, and you need to be mindful of what your rules are around this. The announcement last March 2020 gave relaxation to holiday carryover and asked employees to allow their workers to carry over unused holiday for the next 2 years. This was a reasonable request, and obviously a lot of companies are following this procedure because a lot of companies don't allow carryover on a usual year-by-year basis. So try to keep this in mind. Set the parameters in place now of how many days employees can carry over into 2021 and 2022. Be aware that you may have an influx of holiday requests after the 21st of June. Do you need employees to take so many before June, July, and so many afterwards? So make sure you communicate this to them and try and get an idea of what they're thinking. Have a robust policy in place of using holidays and by when. So this just stresses the importance of having a policy. So holidays are supposed to be fun, and you don't want to take that away from them. It's a well-deserved break, and the last thing you want is it for it to turn into a negative experience for your employees. So be fair and consistent in your approach. This is key to all employees. You may have working mums and dads needing school holidays off. Now children are back at school, so therefore get them to discuss their needs and make it work for all. If people are honest and open from the start, it will hopefully resolve any issues in the future. But again, if you need to have one-to-ones with your staff to find out what their needs are, then try and do that and match the pieces within. The HR software can help monitor holidays and obviously deal with holiday requests and the management and communication of this. So we at Clover have an accredited partnership with Breathe HR, a cloud HR system specifically for SMEs, and one of its capabilities is managing holidays. So give your team the visibility of their available holiday and total allowance. Allow them to manage their holidays through the year, and then they know what they've had, when they've had it, and obviously when to make requests. So they're booking holiday requests from anywhere, if they're working from home, if they're even on holiday, to book the next one from any device. Really, this makes it really easy to use. And respond to requests in just a few clicks. It is frustrating for an employee if they haven't had an answer back on their holiday from their manager. So this makes it really easy to do. And obviously paper exercises potentially could be eradicated with no spreadsheets, no delays on it and things like that. So it just adds less frustration to the employee-employer process. And obviously it's something that's hopefully satisfying for the employee. So it's got to be a good thing and make it into a positive experience. So in summary, the things to remember when you're looking at holiday requests for your employees: plan ahead, really get to think, how many staff have I got? How many days are they going to have off throughout the year? And when do they need to take them? So you've got a good 12 months holiday year. Try and make sure that at least half are taken throughout the first half and half throughout the second half. So you don't have a big influx in November, December, throughout the Christmas period or in the summer holidays. In the 6-week holidays, obviously, with school. Be clear on what the rules are, so communicate it, the process to all. This just stops any ambiguity of, I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that. So if they're clear from the start, then they know what the process is, and that you're being a fair and consistent employer. You just need to be communicated with on what they want in order to request give that request. Always look for alternatives. So if the business isn't able to fulfill that request, look at why it can't, explain why, but then look at if there is an alternative to that. Can they have the following week off, the week before? Can they swap with someone? Can they do less hours that week so they can fit something in? So it's always look to try and compromise with your employee if possible. You may have fixed holidays and so many floating holidays. So try and talk to them about this and what their floating holidays gives them. Ensure consistency is in place. This is crucial. You do not want a holiday situation to turn into a negative effect for a competition between employees. If one person got one thing, it should be allowed to be consistent for the other. Again, the alternatives can cause a bit of confusion, because if you allow one person to meet in the middle somewhere, then obviously the consistency needs to be the same as well, and always look for alternatives for every employee. But if it's not possible, then that's not possible for the business, and you're okay to say no, unfortunately. But the most important thing is bring out the positives of a holiday. At the end of the day, it's a benefit to an employee, so they should try it, so they enjoy it and try and make it pleasurable for them. A good booking experience makes them look forward to it and anticipate that time off. It's planned for, and there's no issues that happen at work that could have been prevented from the start. So that's my webinar. That's multiple holiday request webinar. I hope you've enjoyed it and got a lot from it. Just going to have a look if there's any questions from today. So please feel free to put a question in if you do want it now. Alternatively, obviously, you can come back to me with any questions after the webinar as well. Okay, so there's no questions. So thank you so much for listening. And I will speak to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.